Carl Jung's inner world, the visionary who saw the unseen. A soft ambient hum. A red glow fills the screen. A page turns slowly. Handwritten symbols, mandalas, Latin phrases. The sound of ink on parchment. Narrator. There are thinkers, and then there are visionaries. Men and women who don't just study the human mind. They descend into it. They walk through its darkness, converse with its monsters, and return, carrying light. Carl Gustav Jung was one of them. He was not merely a psychologist. He was a cartographer of the soul. A man who believed that behind every dream, every impulse, every symbol, lay a vast, unseen world. A world as real as the one outside your window, but infinitely stranger. This is the story of the visionary who saw the unseen, the man who dared to explore the abyss within himself and returned with a map for all humanity. Moon Phase. Chapter 1. The beginning of a restless mind. Narrator. Carl Gustav Jung was born in 1875 in a quiet Swiss village near Lake Constance. His father was a pastor. His mother, sensitive, mysterious, often lost in moods that frightened the boy. From childhood, Jung felt two people inside him. One, a normal boy, the son of a pastor. The other, an old man, ancient, wise, detached, as if he had lived many lives before. He later called them personality number 1 and personality number 2, and that inner duality, the tension between the everyday self and the eternal self, would define his entire life. He was haunted by strange dreams, a massive underground temple beneath his childhood home, a glowing figure with the face of God and the eyes of the devil. He didn't know what they meant, only that they meant something. Degree Symbol. Chapter 2. The Scientist and the Mystic. Narrator. Jung grew up in the shadow of science and faith. His father's God had grown thin, hollow sermons without spirit. And yet the young Jung could feel something beyond reason pulsing beneath reality. He studied medicine and psychiatry at the University of Basel. It was the age of Freud, hysteria, hypnosis, and the birth of modern psychology. To Jung, the human mind was not just a machine of memories, it was an ocean. He began his career at the Bergholzlieb Psychiatric Hospital in Zurich, working with patients diagnosed as schizophrenic. But where others saw madness, Jung saw messages, fragments of myth, archetype, and meaning struggling to be born. He developed a method he called word association tests, a precursor to what we now call the unconscious mind. When a subject hesitated or reacted emotionally to a certain word, it revealed a hidden complex, a buried knot of emotion and meaning. The scientific world noticed, and soon so did Sigmund Freud. Brain Symbol. Chapter 3. The Master and the Disciple. Narrator. When Jung met Freud in 1907, it was like two planets colliding. Freud, the elder prophet of the unconscious, saw Jung as the heir to his empire, the son he never had. For 13 hours they talked non-stop. Science, symbols, dreams, sex, and the shadowed kingdom of the mind. Freud believed the unconscious was primarily sexual, a boiling cauldron of repressed desire. Jung disagreed. He believed it was far vaster, not just personal, but collective, a shared psychic reservoir that connected every human being to the myths of humanity itself.
The legacy of the visionary. Narrator. Carl Jung spent his life exploring the space between science and spirit, and for that he often walked alone. To the academic world, he was too mystical. To the mystics, too scientific. But in that tension, between the measurable and the mysterious, Jung built a bridge no one else had dared to cross. He called psychology the modern myth, a story through which humanity could rediscover its forgotten gods, not in the sky, but in the depths of the mind. Chapter 10. The Mirror of the Self. Narrator. As Jung grew older, he began to see the psyche as a mirror of the cosmos. He believed that just as the universe evolved from chaos into order, so too does the human soul. This process he called individuation. It is the journey each person must take to become whole, to reconcile the conscious and the unconscious, the masculine and the feminine, the human and the divine. But the path is not linear. It is circular, like the mandalas Jung drew in his notebooks, circles within circles, symbolizing the eternal return of the self. Sound of a pencil drawing on paper. Narrator. For Jung, the mandala was more than art. It was therapy. Whenever he felt lost or fragmented, he would draw one, and the chaos inside him would begin to find its center again. He discovered that these same circular patterns appeared in the dreams of his patients, in Tibetan Buddhism, in alchemy, and in the sacred geometry of cathedrals. It was as if the human psyche, across cultures and centuries, instinctively knew the shape of wholeness. The mandala, Jung wrote, is the psychological expression of the totality of the self. Chapter 11. The Dream of Death. Narrator. In 1944, at the age of 69, Jung suffered a massive heart attack. For several weeks, he hovered between life and death, and during that time, he experienced a vision. He found himself floating high above the earth, surrounded by vast cosmic darkness. Below him, he could see the blue curve of the planet, shimmering in silence. Ahead stood a great temple, ancient, luminous, made of stone and light. As he drifted toward it, Jung felt an overwhelming peace. He knew he was about to cross the threshold into something eternal. But at that moment, a voice called him back. He awoke in his hospital bed, still alive, but forever changed. He said later, "It was as if I had been granted a glance beyond the veil, a momentary vision of eternity." From that point on, Jung no longer feared death. He saw it not as an end, but as the continuation of the great process, the psyche's return to the source. Chapter 12. The Inner Cosmos. Narrator. After his recovery, Jung's ideas became increasingly cosmic.
He began to see the unconscious not only as a psychological reality, but as a dimension of existence itself, a field that connects all minds through symbol and meaning. He studied UFO phenomena, not as alien visitations, but as modern myths, projections of the human need for transcendence. He examined Christian mysticism, Gnosticism, Hinduism, and Taoism, searching for the universal patterns behind all spiritual experience. He came to believe that humanity's greatest danger was not war or famine, but unconsciousness, the refusal to see our own inner world. The modern person, he warned, lives too much in the outer world of machines and technology, forgetting the inner one that gives it meaning. People will do anything, Jung wrote, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. Chapter 13. The Face of God and the Face of Man. Narrator. To Jung, God was not an external being, but an inner experience, a symbol of the psyche's wholeness. He didn't argue for or against God. He sought to understand the image of God within us. He said, "I do not need to believe in God. I know, not in a dogmatic sense, but as a psychological truth." The divine, he believed, is the archetype of totality, the ultimate symbol of the self. And yet he warned that humanity's concept of God must evolve. The old image, the distant father, no longer spoke to the modern soul. The new God would be born not in the heavens, but in the human heart. This was not heresy. It was psychology taken to its spiritual limit, the point where the study of mind becomes a study of being. Chapter 14. The Modern Prophet. Narrator. By the 1950s, Jung had become both a legend and an enigma. His books, Psychological Types, Symbols of Transformation, Ion, and Man and His Symbols, were read by scholars, artists, and dreamers alike. He was visited by filmmakers, writers, and seekers from around the world.